All new right now on the WHAS11 night team. Metro Police explain what led to an afternoon quadruple shooting in Louisville's Russell neighborhood.
You're not proving anything, you know? Your life is over. Either you're dead or you're in jail. Stop it.
You'll hear the moments one nearby business employee locked her doors to keep customers safe. And then folks driving by to see state troopers raid the home owned by the former Clark County sheriff.
If it's true, then investigate everybody so we can see what's really going on.
Why ISP served a search warrant tonight and what items they took with them. And the road to day one, part 2, has been a long one for JCPS teachers too.
I know teachers have been making the best use of their time.
How they've been preparing all week to welcome kids back starting Friday. It's just ahead at 11. Four people shot in broad daylight near a Louisville apartment complex and several businesses. Metro Police saying it reportedly stemmed from a fight. Thanks for joining us here on the night team. I'm Isaiah Kim Martinez in for Doug tonight. Police say it happened on 18th and Ali just before 4 this afternoon. All new here at 11. I got an update from LMPD today and talked to one woman who says she locked her door the moment she heard gunfire. Lining the front of the Russell apartments at 18th and Ali, tenants watched as the entrance to their homes turned into a crime scene. The entire parking lot taped off, folks unable to even get to their cars.
Fight escalated to shots being fired. People started scattering.
LMPD cruisers lining the intersection, backing up traffic.
We know at least 4 shots were fired at this time.
The forensics unit taking photos and placing evidence markers, one of them by a single shoe left on the ground.
You all stay in, keep the door locked. I've already called 911.
Regina Cox describes the moments talking to her customers inside.
Because it was just chaotic.
She works at Scruples by Chic Hair Salon, near where shots rang out.
There was a young lady that was running down the street and she was screaming, I want my mother! I want my mother! It burned! I didn't grow up like this. No one wants to raise their children in this.
Police say 1 woman and 3 men are in the hospital after being shot.
We need the community's help to say that they've had enough of this violence.
Lieutenant Stephen Lacefield with LMPD's non-fatal shooting unit says it's not clear yet if any of the victims may also be suspects.
Potentially there could be. That's what we're trying to iron out right now.
All 4 people are expected to survive, regardless.
It's unnerving. It's ridiculous.
Cox, who grew up in Louisville, is fed up. She's worked at the salon for more than 30 years, long enough to remember the days the city's violence wasn't this rampant.
You can't even go to work. You know, our kids can't even go to school.
She tells me we've reached a point where people don't know how to resolve conflicts, and the respect for each other is gone.
You're not proving anything, you know? Your life is over. Either you're dead or you're in jail. Stop it. It's pointless.
She's hoping, like this Russell neighborhood mural declares, the community can show more love and less hate. And Lieutenant Lacefield also said they had 6 detectives on scene, made possible by the creation of the non-fatal shooting squad just months ago. Anyone with information about the shooting is encouraged to call the anonymous tip line. That's 574-LMPD. You can also use their online portal. LMPD says it'll be changing the way it handles officer-involved shootings. Tomorrow, LMPD Police Chief Jacqueline Gwynn Villarreal will be joined by Mayor Craig Greenberg to provide the update. They say the new process will provide greater transparency, improve efficiency, and ensure there are third-party safeguards. They plan to give that update tomorrow at 3 p.m. I'll be there alongside our crew, bringing you live coverage in our early evening shows and, of course, here at 11 o'clock. Now, across the river, Indiana State Police conducted several search warrants at a home owned by a former Clark County sheriff. Property records show the Jeffersonville home is owned by Jamie Knoll, who served in the role from 2015 through the end of 2022. WHAS 11 night team's Taylor Woods and photojournalist Emma Geffner spoke to folks who traveled down to see this search. Taylor, what did they have to say?
Well, Isaiah, Clark County residents I spoke to are shocked the warrants were even conducted at a home owned by a public official. They say any public servant should be held just as accountable as anyone else, and the need for transparency is important.
Crime scene tape wrapped around this home on Old Tay Bridge Road in Jeffersonville. Property records show it's owned by former Clark County Sheriff Jamie Knoll. Throughout the afternoon, Indiana State Police brought out boxes of evidence as part of a search warrant.
It's pretty surreal that it's happening in our home county.
I would say.
An ISP spokesperson says several search warrants were served at the home for allegations of fraud, corruption, tax evasion, ghost employment, and official misconduct. In addition to ISP, Jeffersonville fire crews were also seen at the home with chainsaws. After hearing about the search warrant, some Clark County residents like Logan Daly and his brother Levi wanted to see it for themselves.
We just thought it was big news. It's the biggest news that's come out of this area in a long time, you know, so we just felt like coming down and just seeing what was going on with our own eyes.
Current Clark County Sheriff Scotty Maples released a statement. It says in part, when the people of this county elected me sheriff, I ordered a thorough review of the office, its budget, and much more. During that review, we uncovered evidence of troubling and potentially criminal behavior during the previous administration. Maples says he turned that evidence over to ISP to investigate. Still shocked by the search warrants, Levi feels every public official should be held accountable.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. So if the allegations are true, then I think that they should be investigating every local government in Clark County.
Until then, the brothers are waiting patiently to hear about what ISP found during the search warrant.
Well, because if you don't have transparency, corruption, that's how corruption just continues on unabated. You know, if the people don't know what their government is doing, the government gets to do whatever they want.
Now, Clark County Prosecutor Jeremy Moll tells us ISP is working with a special prosecutor in the case. In studio, Taylor Woods, WHAS11 Nate team on your side.
Taylor, thank you so much. Now, staying in southern Indiana tonight, Indiana State Police have identified a man killed during an exchange of gunfire with police in Jeffersonville. It happened overnight on North Shore Drive, right across the 2nd Street Bridge. Indiana State Police Sergeant Carrie Hull said Jeffersonville police responded to a welfare check after reports of someone making, quote, disturbing comments. Hull said 65-year-old Richard Glass told officers he was armed, which led to Jeffersonville police, the SWAT team, and state police to stage outside. Now, shortly after, police said Glass began firing at officers and was taken down by a Jeffersonville SWAT team member who returned fire.
Eventually, they were able to breach into the apartment and confirm that the suspect had been struck. He was confirmed dead at that time by medical personnel on the SWAT team. Immediately after that, the apartment building was cleared to make sure that there were no injuries. Nobody else in this incident was struck. There were any injuries whatsoever other than the suspect being struck by the SWAT team member.
Sergeant Hull said the whole incident lasted around 3 hours. The investigation is still underway. And JCPS bus drivers are telling us they are not optimistic about the return to school, specifically on Monday, when high schoolers will be back in the mix. JCPS is planning a phased reopening where elementary and middle school students will head back on Friday, and high schoolers, of course, will return Monday. Bus drivers tell us they believe Friday will be passable. However, come Monday, they say the same problems from the first day of school will creep back in.
And I thought, if I'm not mistaken, on part of the new changes, it was said that they were going to be shortening the lengths of our routes, and they're not. They're just adding and adding and adding and adding. So more stops equals more time, longer to get that route finished to get to our next school.
You're hearing there from a bus driver anonymously. Now, Superintendent Dr. Marty Polio said Monday they are trying to make short-term changes like shoulder buddies to help the drivers with GPS, and also adding vans who can take students who are late on transfers. But he emphasized these are mainly temporary fixes. Now, new tonight, JCPS teachers say they're ready for students to return after days of cancellations for transportation issues. Tammy Berlin and Emily McKiernan Blanton are both high school teachers and representatives of the Jefferson County Teachers Association. They say they were upset to learn about the issues on the bus ride home after they had great first days themselves in the classroom. While students haven't been in class since last Thursday, teachers have still reported to work for several of those.
Some people don't finish putting their room together because, you know, for some people it takes a long time and there's a lot to do. So they've had a chance to finish all of that. We've had chance to collaborate with, team members and department members, and, figure out some common assessment stuff.
Now, while the district works on short-term solutions, McKiernan Blanton says they need to look at increasing pay to find more drivers to help in the long term.
My children are the most important people in my life. And I think that the people that drive them should be appropriately compensated. They should be highly paid because they are carrying the most precious cargo we have in the city, our kids. We don't have a city if we don't have kids.
Strong words there. At a board meeting last night, Superintendent Polio said hiring more drivers is the answer to the problem, and they're going to have to find ways to do just that. Now, ahead of the general election in November, today Governor Andy Beshear released his plans for a potential education budget. Included in his plan is an 11% pay increase for all teachers, fully funded universal pre-K, a textbook fund, and for the state legislature to fully fund student transportation. That's something Beshear says they should already be doing.
Each district puts in what their cost is and asks for that in the budget, and the General Assembly has been shorting school districts each and every year. The General Assembly is also at least partially responsible by not stepping up and providing the funding and adequate pay to attract enough bus drivers to get the job done.
Now, Beshear's proposal would be a $1.1 billion investment, something he says is doable thanks to the budget surplus and the state's rainy day fund. Now, Beshear's budget plan comes a day after Attorney General Daniel Cameron released his proposed education plan. The Republican nominee for governor also included a base pay increase for teachers, specifically for new teachers. Cameron also proposed funding for optional tutoring in reading and math, which he says would help students catch up from COVID learning loss. He also wants to bolster classroom discipline, saying several tools for removing disorderly students have been taken away.